Hello, and welcome to What's Doing. When it comes to legalities in creating IPs, the producers, talents, and production houses in Malaysia, they don't seem to give too much importance until something goes wrong and then they scramble to get their legal rights in place. What they don't know is that media and entertainment law in Malaysia encompasses a multifaceted regulatory framework designed to govern various aspects of communication, creative expression, and content dissemination. Rooted in the principles of safeguarding public interest and cultural sensitivity, these laws address issues ranging from censorship and licensing requirements to intellectual property rights protection and defamation. The Malaysian Communications and Multimedia Commission (MCMC) plays a pivotal role in overseeing compliance and enforcing regulations within the industry. Notably, the Printing Presses and Publications Act, alongside the Communications and Multimedia Act, serve as a fundamental status guiding the media landscape, ensuring responsible journalism, protecting freedom of expression, and balancing societal interests with individual rights. Furthermore, copyright laws safeguards the work of artists, authors, and creators, while defamation laws aim to maintain integrity and prevent harm within the media sphere. With the rapid evolution of digital platforms and technological advancements, Malaysia continues to adapt its legal framework to address emerging challenges and opportunities in media and entertainment, striving for a dynamic and vibrant industry that fosters creativity while upholding ethical standards and legal obligations. Anissa Anis is a partner at one of Malaysia's top law firms, Christopher Lee Ong, while she is part of a group that deals with technology, media, telecommunications, and data protection. Her main interest lies in media and entertainment law. She started off as a corporate lawyer but realized after 6 years that she was really passionate about media and entertainment. After spending 10 years working with TV, movies, and sports at Astro Network, she decided to return to legal work and join her current firm. With over 15 years of experience in media and entertainment, Anissa is known for her deep understanding of the industry, which helps her provide valuable legal advice. Thank you, Anissa, for coming on What's Doing. Really appreciate your time on the show.
No worries. Abid, anything for you, really.
Thank you. So tell me, Anissa, about your professional journey and how has your professional journey in the legal framework and how it has been and how you have helped your clients with what all you do.
So I've always been passionate about entertainment, so from young. And I actually wanted to be an entertainment journalist. But obviously parents, being parents, they're like, go and do something professional. So I said to do law. And so I did law, came back, became a corporate lawyer at first, which I have to say, respectfully, absolutely, I hated it. Really it was not my soul, So after about 6 years, I decided, you know what, I'm going to try and pursue my passion in media and entertainment and try to take that path. So I went away, did a master's in this area, came back, and I was very lucky to actually get a job, like almost immediately with Astro. So I joined Astro, 10 years, that's where I met you, of course.
Yeah.
So doing media entertainment in a company like Astro was very beneficial for me. I learned so much, I was exposed to so much, and I really appreciated my time there. But yeah, after 10 years, I decided that I wanted to stay in this industry, but maybe be on the other side. And be a bit more, I wanted to help. I think initially I wanted to help producers, actors, talents, to see their side, to see it from their side. And so I left Astro, managed to, I was offered a position in the current law firm that I'm in now, Christopher Lee Ong, and I'm doing media and entertainment. And thankfully, I've still been able to work with a lot of my friends, actually, so who are all in the entertainment industry. So that's been very good for me. So the whole range of work that I do in the industry has been very fulfilling. And 5 years on in being back in legal practice, I don't see myself leaving yet, but you know.
No, there's a lot of work to be done in
Yeah,
that.
there's a lot of work. Yeah.
So, what is media and entertainment law? Means, just to say, for example, if you're telling a 15-year-old, what is a media and entertainment law
Okay.
stands in Malaysia?
Media and entertainment is an industry. So basically, it's just the legal aspects of media and entertainment. You always think about, so when you look at media and entertainment, you look at, let's say, producing a television show, for example, it's really advising on every aspect of producing, or even, from the start, creation, financing, production, distribution. So it's not a subject area on its own, but it's a mix of different areas. So you talk about contract law, there's employment law because you're hiring, we talk about even international law where you're actually dealing with like studios, streamers. So it's if you wanted to be an entertainment lawyer, it's not corporate law where you maybe just do mergers and acquisitions is one thing. You actually need to be quite, well versed in different areas of law. But to me, I suppose the unique thing about media entertainment law is that if you're not passionate about it, you won't. I think you may not continue that interest, right? So you have to want to, be involved, see the end product, and to me, that's very important. I'm not sure whether everyone shares the same view, but for me, yes.
So, you see, from a creative perspective, when I watch a movie, when I watch a TV show, so we think about, okay, you know what, this camera angle,
Yeah.
that actor's acting, but I think from your perspective,
Yes.
I think, oh my God, they took, permission to use that song, and
Yes.
they took permission to use that logo. I think you see it from a different perspective
Yes,
than what
correct.
we see from, and that is very important because again, the final product is just not about good acting and good music and good direction. It's about all these small things which are governed by some kind of a law.
Right.
And has the producer or the executive producer taken the right steps to include that in that story
Yeah.
is where your media law comes in entertainment law comes into place.
Right, definitely.
But having said that, what is the landscape of this law in Malaysia?
So I've been in industry, let's say, maybe, starting from when I was in Astro. So that's about 15 odd years ago. At that point in time, I suppose the people that I met on the opposite side of the table, I was working for a broadcaster, opposite side, they were just very happy to sign. They were like, yeah, you just give me the contract. I know it's 300 pages long. Just let me sign it and pay me. They just wanted to go ahead with the creative process. But then the lawyers, for Astro lawyers, we were like, yeah, good, happy for you to sign because we've made you agree to so many things.
Basically, you have agreed to sell your soul.
Exactly. But,
I was one of them, by the way.
but okay, internally we'll be advising you.
Yeah.
But I feel, like from the other side of the table, when you prioritize money, for example, or you just want to get the process going, you don't think about, oh, actually I have rights. I own these rights. I'm able to monopolize, monetize. But at that point of time, I say 15 years ago, people maybe were not so well versed, or it was just about the money. But fast forward 15 years later, I see that people know this now. People in industry know that, yes, I created this. I can do a lot of things with this product, right? It's not just about selling and getting money, getting it on cross. But I'm like, okay, you want my content? I can't give you everything. You're going to fund it, but I'm not going to give you all the rights. I am going to retain these rights, and I'm going to, make it work for me as well. So I see the progress. That 15 years, I see that people have become more savvy in the industry, and I think the exposure to global streamers, for example, when you're dealing with contracts given to you by the streamers, then you're like, oh, I've never seen this before. Maybe I need to speak to a lawyer, for example. Again, 15 years ago, I don't see people, they were just signing. I said, did anyone review the contract for you? No. I'm just signing, right? So they'll sign it and they're like, they don't know what they signed, and because they didn't even like refer to anyone. So it's important, I suppose. And now people realize that. And you have more lawyers who are well versed in entertainment law, who are able to advise. And I see that progress. So I'm happy for that.
Who all are in the media and entertainment ecosystem in Malaysia?
So we're not Hollywood, for sure, right? But we are decent. We have a decent sized industry. We have major broadcasters. We have our RTMs, and we have the free to air channels. We have Astro, of course. Media Prima. Then we have all our production houses. So, and this is really talking from a, let's say, a film and TV perspective. We have production houses, then we have all the various talents, the agencies that represent talents, represent crew, like people who are working in industry. Then you have all the platforms, like you have the cinemas, you have, I suppose, social media platforms as well. It's become larger. It's no longer just like you have our free-to-air channels and that's it. The ecosystem is so large and it's no longer limited to Malaysia. It's wider. So really, it's about looking at, let's say, what goes into a production, and you can actually break it up and see the different people or people who are involved in those areas. And so then you look at a theatre production, for example. Then you have a different ecosystem related, but it's different because you have to talk about the venue, about ticketing, about the event organizers. So then you take that, and then you take, let's say, radio. Then it's different as well. So I think when you look at the different elements of what is in the entertainment industry, you can actually map out an ecosystem. It's interconnected, but you can see things on its own. So you have the theatre world, you have the book and publishing world, social media, content, then you have broadcasting and production. So it's a large ecosystem, but in Malaysia, it's limited in that sense. It's nowhere the US kind of size, but it's decent enough that we have players in every element of our industry. So it's a wide, it's a wide thing. Any content creator is considered a member of this industry. Regulators as well, your MCMC, your MDEC who help finance, so that's, and the ministries, of course, the Ministry of Communication. So, to me, I see that whole ecosystem as like just many players all connected, and it's quite interesting.
So why do entities need a lawyer?
Oh, also to pay for my lavish lifestyle. Okay, I think going back to what I said earlier about how I saw how people used to just sign agreements without reading. It's about knowing what your rights are. It's about knowing how you can make money from what you created, right? So you need a lawyer because you may not be so well versed in the language, for example, or what kind of what you are able to do with what you have. So a lawyer will look at it obviously from a legal perspective, and tell you that these are the items that you need to look out for. Like number one, like you have IP rights. You created this. What can you do with it? And how do you want to stop other people from exploiting it without you benefiting from it? If you're like a broadcaster, for example, you need a lawyer because whatever goes on your platform, it has to be censored. You need to make sure that it doesn't offend anyone. It's within the censorship rules, whether it's self-censorship or whether it's whatever finesse or the censorship board has said.
LPF.
Yeah, the LPF. So it's and even so broadcasters would need that because you need someone to look at this. You look at any from a talent point of view, for example. What am I signing? I'm saying I'm going to do your production for 10 months, but I'm going to get paid, like X amount. But am I allowed to do other productions? Am I allowed to leave the country? Am I allowed to change my hairstyle? You might think it's okay. You might think that, there's nothing wrong with this. But as a lawyer, I'm going to say, hey, they're restricting you from doing a lot of things. And you're maybe not able to use your time and make money in other ways if you agree to this. So I'm telling you, you better be careful. Let's try and see whether you can push it back. So it's really raising awareness and risk also. Like if you wanted to partake, get into a production, I'm going to tell you these are the risks. If you procure investments, for example, make sure that you are still keeping what you want, like the rights that you want to have, the profit share remains with you. The investor's not going to be taking everything and like exploiting you. So maybe when you're a creative, you kind of like, no, I just want to get my art out there. Let me get my art out there. I just want to get it out there on the screen.
Newbies.
Yeah, then like, let me put it on screen. I just want to see it on screen, But I'm there to tell you that, sorry lah. Basically, you can, of course, but please be careful and take note of these risks, take notes of these legal issues, and make sure that whatever contract you sign has all this. So I would say you need a lawyer because unfortunately everyone's dealing with contracts. It is just the way it is, right? And the danger of, I don't know if I've told you before, but a 1-pager contract, and a 100-pager contract, very different, right? And in the past, dealing with people who just want to get the work done, right? They want to get the work out there. They're like, I'm going to sign a 1-pager contract. It's okay. But really, you are missing out on so much. And the contract could just say that everything belongs to us. You can do nothing. But I'm like, I just want to sign. So to me, the lawyer comes in to tell you, these are the risks, and also explain the wording of a contract. And that's even at the base level, just looking at contracts. For production, again, like as you say about clearances, I'm going to be looking at your script. I'm going to say, hey, this is copyright. This is infringement of copyright. Where are you taking this from? Or on a set, like a picture on the wall. Like that belongs to someone. I'm going to tell you that it belongs to someone. You have to clear the rights. Because not all art departments are creating things on their own. They're just taking things online. And so we come in and tell you, hey, you got to clear that first. Because later down, maybe you think it's okay. Now down the line, someone's going to come and sue you. When your film gets super popular around the world, and then someone's going to come in and say, hey, you took a photo of mine and you didn't pay me. So the lawyer comes in early on to say, these are the issues. This is what you need to clear. This is what you need to do. So really, I think for any industry, really, not just media entertainment, the importance of the lawyer really is to just highlight to you, hey, these are the legal issues. Maybe you don't see it, but I'm telling you now. I'm going to tell you these are the risks. If you don't handle it now, this is what's going to happen to you. So to me, that's how important a lawyer is.
We take a case study. Say, for example, I'm starting a new show. And what are the step-by-step examination of what I have to go through legally,
right.
where paperwork is concerned, and how to basically save myself from a creative perspective as well as from a production perspective.
Right.
Can you just take us through a step-by-step, guide to make our audiences understand that these many things I needed to safeguard yourself legally?
So you have an idea. You want to make it into a movie, right? So what do you start off with? You start off with turning the idea into a script, right? You have your story, turning into a script. So from then, it's taking the script, then looking at all the elements of production, you start doing it. But before that, you talk about financing, right? So do you have the money? Do you want anyone to be investing in your production? So you start talking to investors and such. So all this happens at the same time. Obviously, when you go see an investor, you need to show them, this is the story, this is what I'm going to do. Invest in me. This is what you're going to get in return. So fine, you get your investments. So you can start pre-production. You're thinking of what to do, where to film, who's going to come and be involved from all your above the line talents. Everyone that's involved in the production, you'll have to secure, right? So then you go to production. You're at the venue. You're at the shooting locations. Can you shoot there? Do you need permits? Do you need permissions to actually be at a certain location? So, and even before that, I think I'll talk about it a bit later. But so from production, then you go to post, then you go to, okay, I have a finished product. What do I do? Am I going to sell it? Am I going to license it? How am I distributing it? And you start talking to platforms, start talking to the cinemas, and then it goes on air, and then you think about down the line how you're going to promote it, right? So promotion, marketing, and advertising, and then if it becomes so successful, then how do you kind of further monetize it, or how do you push it for, let's say, awards or something, So it's that whole, as you know, the whole process. But nothing could happen if at the start all the IP rights to the production, you never cleared. Because if, like, for example, I want to do a story about, I know, a figure in Malaysia, let's say a popular figure in Malaysia who's passed away, for example, I need to speak to the family. I need to secure those rights. And that is already at the story level. It's all fine, when I'm saying, I want to write about so-and-so and I'm going to go ahead. And then like suddenly down the line, the family is like, hey, did you come to us for permission? Did you ask us? So that whole, clearing, I suppose, just clearing of rights and dealing with ownership must come from the start. So otherwise, nothing else could happen, right? So it's a long process. I know for you, like, in terms of production, it could take, I don't know how many days, but it's everything that starts before you even start shooting and everything that happens after. So it's a very, very long process.
Yep.
So to have someone there to actually work with you from the start is invaluable, I would say, because you really don't know what's going to happen and you don't want to be just going ahead because you can't. How do you turn it back? How do you?
Once you started creating something, you can't come back. Yeah,
you can't. You can't just rewind everything. It's not just about rewinding, but it's like, oh my god, I didn't clear these rights. What do I do? And if the person who owns the rights says that you pay me lah, pay me X amount, what are you gonna do? You don't have the budget for it already. So that whole process is, as you know, a very long process. But to have someone there to actually just like guide you all the way would be, I would say, it's a cost that's worth paying for. Because you just don't want to be dealing with this down the line.
No, people, I think they avoid or they miss out on all these things because it's not glamorous.
It's not.
It's not a fun thing.
No.
Each contract is like 100 pages, 200 pages.
Yeah.
So I think same goes for me. At one point in time, it used to be one pain to go through the contract.
Right.
So. But now I've changed. I go through all of it. So for what advice would you like to give to someone who's just starting off in the production business when they're starting off with the project?
Okay.
What do you think they should be very clear about before they start a project?
Right. I mean, I think number one, let's say you're just starting out, you have a project. Be aware of what rights you have. Like read. So if you have you want to embark on a project, just know what you can or cannot do. And actually, to be fair, you can actually learn everything on the internet now, actually. And you have very good articles, legitimate articles.
ChatGPT.
I don't know about ChatGPT, but really read and if you don't want to talk to a lawyer, it's fine, but be aware. Read the document. I think the first thing I always tell people, hey, just read the document. You don't have to come and talk to me. Then if you don't understand the document, maybe come and talk to me. But if you don't know what you're signing, you don't know what you're embarking on, you don't know what you can or cannot do, I would advise a person who is, going to start a project to just, whatever paperwork that comes your way, don't push it under, don't just like, put it in the drawer or like, put it in the whatever
Let
folder.
it disappear.
Yeah, and then down the line, then like, hey, what do you mean I signed something and I said yes to something? So just be savvy, don't just think that other people will do it for you also. I think it's, let's say someone young, new into the industry, I mean, it really pays to just really know what you're doing and what you have, instead of just letting other people just tell you they may not be reliable. I mean, not talking about lawyers, but maybe other people in the production or the creative, setup, they might just like, hey, let's just do it. But nobody's reading the document.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say just be savvy, be aware, read. If you don't want to talk to lawyers, look online, maybe ChatGPT, but at least something where you kind of know what you can or cannot do. That's very important.
So what do you think, what is the future of media law in Malaysia?
Okay, like I said before, we're not a very big industry, but it's relative for media lawyers. So currently you have a few types of media lawyers. You have people who are in-house, which is what I was when I was in Astro. But now I'm outside, I'm in private practice, and I deal with not just Astro, but every client under Sun, including yourself. So I think as the industry grows further, we grow with the industry. And I'm very fortunate to be able to have been on projects where it was, from inception, from the start to the end. And it's so invaluable because you see every step of the way. You see you're supporting the project every step of the way. And then when you see the finished product, and then you like, I always, this thing which my friends always make fun of. I'll go to a premiere, and the credits start rolling, and I see nobody is moving because my name has to come out
So
on the.
cute.
So I'll be like, no one moves, okay, no one moves, because I need to see my name. I need to see legal advisor Anissa. Then I'm like, okay, now we can go. But
But that's what you have worked hard for that.
yeah,
Means
that's
that
right. That's right. You
this
want
is
to
the
see.
army of people who are working behind the scene.
Correct,
And I think
yeah.
they never get that kind of exposure in front of the camera.
Yeah, that's
But
right.
I think your you waiting and looking for your name on there is justified.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why when we do the end credits, we make sure that everyone's name, because there's so many people involved, and those are important jobs. Those are really, really crucial jobs for a production to sail swiftly.
Yeah, that's right.
Do you have any case study which you have gone through, a famous case study which you've gone through, for the good or for the bad part of it? How a little legal mishap which had happened, and then how it was corrected, and what was the lesson behind it?
It was a production that I was involved in, where I was advising I was looking at the contracts, but the production had kind of progressed quite far. And what happened was that so the art director on this production didn't clear certain rights to actually drawings that they used in the background for the production. They didn't clear it. But also because I came in at such a kind of later stage, right? Everything was already up. I had no idea that they didn't clear these rights, and it got made. And then, true enough, someone online just started to say, "Oh, this is mine. How could you have kind of put this up without my permission?" And then the art director just disappeared. We looked back at the contract and we saw that, because basically the art director would have been responsible for clearing the rights. But the person just signed it, just kind of like, sign lah, and they didn't do the job. But the impact was that we had to take it back, we had to like cut out or censor. Which I know and I understand it's not cheap. It's not something that's. I mean, this is not. I won't say this is like a big thing that happened, but really it's something that's quite regular though when you don't take care at the start. Yeah. So this is, I suppose, it's a mix of things that have happened in a few productions, and this has been repeated. So so that's why for me I always tell people who are doing projects, like, involve the lawyer from the start. If you want to be very sure, involve the lawyer from the start. You can always blame the lawyer if something goes wrong. Say, hey, you check this, right? You didn't, But when you bring someone in very late, there's no way we could check what has happened before. So I took that as so the lesson that I then just told them, I said, you guys have to, you got to involve us from the start. Like, don't come in and don't bring us in at like 3/4 stage and then you expect us to know what happened before. It's not possible. So I would say that's probably just like a regular thing that had happened, and the impact could have been worse. I suppose you kind of negotiate with the rights owner, and you end up, you may be paying a lot, and you may be paying like and it's not in your budget, right? And you're paying, so you decide, okay lah, rather than pay them, I'm just gonna cut all the scenes or blur it out or anything. But it takes
time also.
Takes time,
that money you have spent, you're going to be spending in post production then.
So I mean I'm just like illustrating something that generally does happen. But specific instances, when I was at Astro, so many things. It's so interesting to be in that kind of industry, in a broadcaster, because you basically every day is something different. There's something different every day.
Where so many shows are being made, so many things are happening at the same time.
Right. We've had we received there were like complaints from overseas and things like that, where we never ever thought would affect anyone overseas, for example. And it was really 24/7 and so interesting, but it was very stressful for us, because we'll get calls so late and say, oh, we may have to take down the show because there's an element of it that's like there's copyright infringement. Then we're like, what? So the whole process of doing that, then we have to kind of dig and see how did that happen, and hopefully it will never happen again. But it does. It's generally it's not easy to kind of control this, but I think at least in Astro we tried our best to have everyone be aware. We gave training, we kind of like told everyone what the risks are, but you really don't know what's going to happen.
Because these are things which either is an oversight
Yes,
or
yeah.
is, plain ignorance.
Correct. And no point sometimes blaming people also. You just want to minimize the damage, right? So if something has happened, then if you're supposed to take it down, but then, sometimes you're like, oh, whose fault is it and everything. So, it becomes like kind of like a witch hunt. But what we should do is always just make sure it doesn't happen again, So, yeah.
With technology moving so fast, with AI coming into the picture, how is it disrupting the legal framework where every, any 15-year-old can just go type stuff and get stuff from ChatGPT or, so what are the checks and balances? Because not everybody is a lawyer and whatever information they're getting, it might not be correct. What are your views on that?
So with AI, lawyer, actually the legal profession itself, we feel that there are two views. It's either a threat or it's actually going to help us. With ChatGPT, for example, who's to stop someone from just saying, I need a contract. Tell me how it's. Draft a contract for me in the best legal manner. Put it into ChatGPT. A contract comes out, right? Or like, give me an opinion on so and so, and then it comes out. And then we're like, oh, but what about lawyers? Are we being replaced? But on the other hand, I see the benefit of obviously something like ChatGPT, maybe giving guidance, right? I won't take it 100%. I have to make sure that everything is verified, because in the end, ChatGPT can also lie. It can. So you have to take everything with that pinch of salt, I suppose. But I don't deny that it is very, very useful tool. AI, for example, with the strikes last year, right? One of the issues was that actors were feeling that they were worried that they were going to be replaced with AI because studios were starting to just use AI to create characters, create images, write scripts, and then you're like, yeah, but what about me? That's my livelihood. Why are you paying a system to do it when actually a live person should do it? But from the production side, or from you're like thinking, oh, but I save so much money and time by using AI. I think there has to be a balance. Technology is good, and we move with technology, but at the same time, don't forget that we have minds. All of us have minds, right? Our talents, our actors, our scriptwriters, everyone has a mind, and I think it's about using AI to help rather than to replace. I think you have to be afraid of like losing your job, and then you start thinking, am I going to lose my job? But at the same time, like, oh, maybe my job can be made better if I use AI. Yeah, so I see a future with AI, but of course, I hope it doesn't replace the humans, because the human element, the human intuition, the human, you can't replace the human experience. So even for lawyers as well, ChatGPT can perhaps do the framework and all that, but it can't really do the thinking, because it's also based on language models. It's about data that's fed into the system, right? So it could be just one way of doing things. But as a lawyer, then you're like, or as a person, you're like, oh, actually these are the several ways you can do it. And to be honest, I've had clients who have told me, like, it's okay, you don't have to do the work for me. I've got ChatGPT to actually draft a contract for me. And I said, okay, fine. That's okay, I understand.
Scary.
It's free. Yeah, I understand it's free. But at the same time, you must be very careful. Make sure that it's verified. Make sure that it makes sense. Look at it. Don't just take it and kind of give it and sign it. You just have to be smart about it. It's a system, it's technology that works for you. It can, but you must be also smart about it. Don't let it take over what a human can do. Money is something, obviously people are like, it's cheaper. It's like, I'm not going to cost any money if I use ChatGPT. But really, the risk, do you want to bear the risk down the line? If something, the AI has actually created something which is going to cause problems, you never know, right? So you just have to be smart about it and be aware of how you use it. So yeah, I wouldn't say I think I love technology. I love how it moves, but it's very fast. It moves so fast that sometimes you don't know what you're behind. I mean, you in production. I mean,
Yeah,
like you deal with, you see all this new technology coming out all the time. But what do you use? How does it work for you? You know,
No,
so
another thing is, it we take time to even test the technology.
sure, yeah.
By that time, the new technology has come
Exactly,
out. It's
yeah.
moving so fast that
Correct.
to keep up with it, it's another task altogether.
Right. You
And
think,
then you have a person who has worked in the industry for 30 years, knows all the laws with the back of his or her
right,
hand,
right.
and gone through cases personally. You can advise you with those are human experiences,
are
which I think a chat GPT can't give you.
I mean, if, let's say take 2 years ago, everyone was talking about NFTs. Then the next year is the metaverse. Then it's now generative AI.
Yeah.
So every year there's going to be something, right? And no one's going to talk about all the legal issues that came up with NFTs. You know, who owns the rights,
who's getting
image is
sued.
this, who's getting sued. You know, we don't talk about it anymore because technology has moved on. So I think again, it's wise to keep up, to know what the technology is. Obviously, you can't keep up with everything, but try to, because you need to find ways to make it work for you, to help you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anissa, as far as I know, you're a big TV and film buff.
Yes.
So tell our listeners and viewers your 5 best legal shows.
Oh no, I don't. You know, everyone's going to say Suits, but
Oh, that's
but
everybody's favorite.
I know I actually watched only one season.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I know there's a reboot coming out, right? So
Yeah.
legal shows. Actually, to me, I showing my age. I actually like Ellie McBeal. You know, just because the American way of it makes it look so glamorous. Really,
Yeah, yeah.
The Practice was the other one. I think way before was LA Law. You know,
Yeah.
I remember LA Law, and I have to say Suits, I suppose. But I like
That's
this.
a mandatory one.
This is a mandatory one. But actually, one of my favorites is actually that movie about the jurors. I think it was like
12 Angry Men?
yes, yeah. That
One
to
of my
me-
favorite movies.
It is because the feeling, the emotion in that, you know, it's about, and then you think about how these people have to deal with this, and these are real. In real life, this happens as well.
Yeah.
How do you make a decision that someone is guilty or not? Someone may be put.
Somebody's life is at stake.
Right, someone's life is at stake. How do I make that decision? So, well, I've never had the fortune or misfortune to be a juror, but that movie really put myself in the minds of these jurors. So
It really tests your patience. That
It-
movie really does test your patience.
it does test your patience. So, and I think in Malaysia, I don't remember seeing any legal. I don't know, any movies or TV series that was focusing on the legal fraternity. I
Now
don't
that
know.
you've given me an idea, I think I should
Think,
think about.
but please make us a bit glamorous like the
we
American
will
ones, lah,
definitely
because
Suits Malaysia version.
you come to our offices, well, you're like, why is there paper and files everywhere? That's it. That no one is wearing a Dior dress or something. Everyone's just, I just want to get through the day. So yes, please do that.
Thank you so much, Anissa, for coming on to the show. Really,
My
really
pleasure.
had a fun chat with you. And there's a lot of learning there in this conversation. And I hope our listeners and viewers will take a piece of it and implement that in their next production, in their next contract. And thank you so much for taking time out for the show.
You're welcome. My pleasure. Thank you so much, Abid.
So in future, when anyone in our industry is starting any new project, don't forget to have a legal person with you who can guide you through the terms and conditions before you sign on that dotted line. This is your host, Abid. Until we meet again on another episode of What's Stewing, keep stewing.